Hi guys. So why live in Spain as a digital nomad? There's multiple reasons on this one actually. And first one is that fiber optic has been rolling out on a constant basis. So like where we are, well, literally where we're sat, you can get up to 600 meg fiber optic. The town I live in has only recently got it, but I can get up to I think 300 meg there, which is more than enough for most people. Fiber optic's fairly cheap as well. I think mine's 25 euros a month, um, and that's 100 meg down and 50 meg up, which is for plenty for most things. Um, the other thing is rentals are relatively cheap, and although along the coast here rents can be a bit high during the tourist season, if you start hunting places when things have just finished off, you should be able to find something a bit cheaper, because obviously the demand's changed, so people are often looking for somebody a bit more long term if you start looking around the winter time. Um, so the rental cheap is fairly cheap. You can find, if you're traveling as one person, as a digital nomad, you might find like some of these units are about 250 euros, including your water and electric. There is no sort of council tax for that because your owner of the property deals with that for you. So in essence, you can live here completely invisible if you wanted to. Because if you're not on the tax information, in the sense of you may not need it, then you're not here. And that's why a lot of Brits have been here for decades and never even registered as existing, because they've never had to. So the point being is there is an option to be invisible. And I know some people have been asking me about the tax side of it as well. Well, in Spain you're supposed to do the tax, but the black economy is alive and well. I'm not saying people should or shouldn't, I'm just saying it exists. Now, the advantage of being a digital nomad is the banks charge for having accounts here. The taxes can be high as self-employed. So if you were working for yourself and doing it online and got it already set up, I'll leave it up to you on what option you choose on that. But you may not need to set it up in Spain as such, not pay any of the taxes or anything, because quite simply it's online. So you could leave all that registered where you're coming from. For example, say you've got a house in the UK or US or somewhere else, you could leave everything set up there, because to be honest, if you're just working remotely, then a lot of the time you don't really need to move everything to your new location. The other advantage of that is if you decide to move around Spain, it makes it much easier. Once you're in the system here, it becomes a bit more complex. The reasons to get into the system here, for example, with April, my wife, and the kids, is they become EU residents and eventually will become EU citizens. But for the majority of people, they simply don't need it. This is one of the things that people gripe about sometimes when they say, oh, people take from the Spanish system. You're not entitled to anything from the Spanish system. Spaniards struggle to get stuff out of the Spanish system. So, if you go down the route of private healthcare, the healthcare I use covers me all year round, but also 3 months in other countries as well. So even traveling throughout Europe, I've got full private insurance as well. And that's the main things they're looking at. When you're here, it's not like the UK where they're trying to catch every penny you've got in your pocket. It's more a case of they just don't want you to be a liability on the state. So if you have your own insurance and paying your own way, a lot of time they couldn't care less. A lot of the bars here employ staff, for example, the waiting staff. A lot of waiting staff are cash in hand. A lot of the jobs are temporary, etc. So a lot of it is cash in hand. Same even with a lot of the schools, they'll employ people for, like, say, English teaching or whatever on a temporary basis as self-employed because they don't want to pay them holiday pay and stuff. So the reality is that the system is geared up for people like digital nomads, because here they're not really clamping down on it a lot, because they'd have to accept that if you got rid of the black economy, people would then be paying more taxes, and if they're paying more taxes, you'd have to pay more overall, because it would actually drive up the cost of living, because if a shop had to declare the amounts it does for its illegal workers, then it forces up the economic costs, because say half your staff were only costing you about 50% of what the other ones cost, because of the contributions you have to make, plus all the other bits and pieces that go together with employing people, then your costs overall may double. So yeah, so I would recommend Spain as a option for a digital nomad. You've got the weather on your side, the food's on your side. It's a massive country. Also got good international access. You know, a lot of the bigger stuff goes out in Madrid, but Alicante Airport, I think Murcia will be the same. Easy access to Madrid, and then once in Madrid, you're away wherever you want to go in the world. And even then, if you went by bus services ain't too bad either. So yeah, it's definitely an option to look at. Thanks for watching.